you buy the Canon M50 Mark II or the Canon 250D, also known as the SL3? While it's an interesting comparison here, they are, I'll say, similar band cameras because a lot of people will be looking at those cameras deciding if they're good. Today I'm going to do a comparison. We're going to look at the information. We're going to say which is the better camera, if there is even such a thing. So in this, you will need to ask yourself questions about what you intend to do with the camera. So keep that in mind. First, let's go through the proper specs and see what the camera offers. So right now I have here an RP camera, which is not the camera we want. So we're going to add into here the M50 Mark II, M50 Mark II, and let's go M50 Mark II. Perfect. Okay, so the main differences here, you will note here, one camera was released in 2020 and other camera was released in 2019, about a year between them. Now one is a mirrorless camera, one is a compact SLR. That's the main difference here. What we mean by this is one mirrorless being smaller size, a bit more compact. There's no actual mirror in the camera to worry about, which moves out of the way, which does mean the M50 Mark II is going to have a digital little display that you look through, so you're seeing a view of what you're seeing, as opposed to the SL3, which is showing you a live mirror view of the item. That means less items in the camera, so it makes the camera a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller. That's one big difference. If you're not familiar with mirrorless and mirrored, I did a full video on that, you can check that out. Now in terms of additional specs, they both have 24 megapixels. So in that example, they're similar. The APS-C crop sensor cameras, they're a Digic 8 processor, so they both have the same sort of gen Digic processor. If you're not sure what Digic does, I did talk about that as well in another video, and I'll summarize it here for you. Digic means how well it handles high ISO images, so how it handles enhanced lighting basically in the camera effect, as well as autofocusing and video, how it handles those little extra things. There's a little processor chip in the cameras. Here we have both shoot in RAW. They have got a 1.6 crop factor. They're fully articulating screens on the back. You've got a viewfinder here. You can see it's electronic, which is what I meant about that display in the M50 versus the optical pentamirror, which pentamirror in the SL3 pentamirror. And going down, let's look at the interesting one. We're going to look at frames per second. Because the M50 is a mirrorless camera, it's able to take more photos per second, up to 10 photos per second if you do a continuous burst of photos. The SL3 takes 5. We're also going to look at the price differences here as well, so keep tuned. I'm going to show you some examples of prices. Now, looking at these, we're saying they both shoot in 4K video. It will be cropped 4K video, but they are able to shoot at that. They also do 1080p at 60 frames a second. Not too shabby. And microphone stereo, we've got, I'm going to look at the essentials here. Weight wise, battery life, you'll notice the SL3 has got slight more advantage of battery life, and that is because it's not going to have to constantly power the sensor and the little display that you look through to look at the digital display, electronic display in the camera viewfinder. So that's the camera specs overall. Let's actually look at prices and what makes more sense. And I'll give you some more extra information as well. So here is an example of the M50 Mark II. We're looking at close to $900 for a camera. On Amazon, if you were to buy someone a present and that camera came up, it comes with a kit lens, $900. Not bad. Decent amount, under $1,000. For a crop sensor, is that a good deal? Not bad. Let's have a look at the SL3. $699. So, moral of the story here is 900 versus 700, so $200 difference. Is that a justifiable difference? The SL3 Rebel camera does pretty much everything the M50 can do, apart from the continuous burst rate of photographs, which is 10 photos per second. Which one would I buy? Which one did I buy? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked that, because this should answer your question. That's also known as the SL3 250D. So if you're thinking about it, who is the M50 for? The M50 is for anybody that wants to travel and take loads of photos, loads of video, loads of vlogging of themselves in a small form factor. So the advantage there is, if you want a small camera, get the M50. However, if you're more into photography and you're serious about photography and you want to be able to get more lenses, because the SL3 has an EFS mount, the M50 has EFM mount, so it's not widely available as many lenses for the mirrorless EFM. You can adapt lenses onto that, but then it gets a bit complicated. Not complicated, but you need a bit more knowledge about getting an adapter, buying another lens, putting it on the camera. And not everybody that's into cameras starting off may want to go down that route. So in regards to the cameras, in this example, I would say I bought both cameras. I would buy the SL3 all day long, and I have got it. I use it. I like it. If I was traveling, I would prefer to go with the M50 because it's smaller. So now you're in a bit of a predicament, are you? Which one do you buy? Well, worry not. There's another camera comparison here you can check out, and I'll see you on that video. Wham.